Make sure the audio is turned on there. Here we go. So another Saturday here on Final Cut TV. And we are doing good. Let me see. We should be on 5 platforms. We should be on X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch TV. Amazing times we're living in. We're broadcasting to all those platforms all at once now. The only one that's vertical today is Instagram. Everybody else is horizontal, including Twitch TV, which is pretty cool. Very, very cool. Let's do our comments first. I know, buddy. Our first comment. Good morning, Richard from Lincoln, Nebraska. Absolutely. Alyssa from Jamaica, a good friend. Our friend Daniel from Quebec, Canada. And Oligero from Brazil. Absolutely. Kudos to Canva that made Calvary free to Max on the Drops autograph and Black Magic for DaVinci Resolve 21. Absolutely. So I downloaded Autograph. I saw that was free. I'm not sure what it is. It looks like, is it like a some kind of a graphics program? Not sure. I am not sure. But I downloaded it. What the hell if it's free? I figured I might use it at some point. Yeah. The biggest, here's the thing, the biggest news, well, first off, NAB starts actually today, and I'm not there. I'm still on my studio. It's an After Effects competitor. That's what I was looking for. After Effects. So, yeah, I downloaded it. I said, well, it's free. That's fine. And, of course, DaVinci Resolve 21, we're going to do a little bit of talking about. Now, here's the thing about DaVinci Resolve. I've been using it for years. Years. I don't have to quit Final Cut Pro in order to use DaVinci Resolve. People say, oh, I'm going to jump ship. You don't have to jump ship. You already paid for Final Cut Pro. Leave it in the applications folder. When you want to use it, it's there. You don't have to jump from one NLE and quit the other one. You can use both. I've been doing it for years. Other people have as well. So Final Cut, of course, is my main NLE. At this point, could that change in the future? Of course it could. It absolutely could. But I've been using Final Cut since 1999, 2000, something like that. Whenever the first version came out. We have springtime here on the good old East Coast of the USA. Beautiful, we finally got everything's turning green. Finally, after all this time. So right above my head is the dogwood tree, and over there to that side is a red maple tree, and they're just starting to come in flowers now. I mean, they're just starting to have their flowers now, and everything's turning green. The grass is finally green after a winter of being brown. It's a pretty amazing time. I like the spring, and my birthday was the spring. So we'll do some of these since we got some. Good morning. Editing in Final Cut Pro on one screen and join your broadcast on another. Well, thank you very much. I edit projects. That's very cool. Been using Resolve for about 10 years and it just keeps getting better. So I just started using Resolve. I got a license. As a matter of fact, I got my card right here. I'm not going to show you the serial number, but here's my card. So I started with DaVinci Resolve 17, apparently. And this is my actual activation card, which has, on the back, it has a code. I'm not going to show you that, though. But I started DaVinci Resolve 17, so that's four or 5 years ago, whatever the heck it was. And I love Resolve. I think it's a great NLE. As a matter of fact, the Final Cut Pro team, not Protein, Final Cut Pro Apps team, they themselves singled out DaVinci Resolve at a Final Cut Pro Creative Summit Q&A. They singled them out as a great, I forget exactly what they said, but they brought up DaVinci Resolve themselves, and they said they thought it was a great or a really good NLE. So I'm not the only one that thinks that it uses Final Cut. Good morning from Montreal. Absolutely. Watching on YouTube, on Apple TV, chatting on X, on iPhone 7. My serial is also 17, absolutely. So I've been using it ever since then. I dabbled in it. I made myself do complete projects in it. I say, no, I'm not going to go back to Final Cut Pro. There's two things that I really like about Final Cut Pro that I miss in DaVinci Resolve. Number one is that live skimmer. I use that all the time. I don't want to have to move the skimmer and then click. I want the skimmer to be live, whether I use it in the browser or whether I use it in the timeline. And Final Cut Pro, by far, has the best live skimmer of all NLEs. Absolutely. That's one thing that I really miss. that, you have like scrubbing in the media pool in DaVinci Resolve. I don't know if you have to click and then scrub. I can't remember, but it annoys me after using Final Cut for all these years that I have to click and scrub. No, I want it to be a live skimmer. Wherever my pointer is, I can skim. That's one of the main things that I miss. The other one is most of the time I miss the magnetic timeline. Not all the time. I think by far the best magnetic timeline is the enhanced magnetic timeline that LumaForge has. LumaFusion, sorry, not LumaForge. LumaForge is out of the picture. They've disappeared from the face of the earth. I think they even deleted their YouTube channel. So LumaFusion has an enhanced magnetic timeline. And what that means is it's magnetic if you want it, but you can also lock it. You can also lock things so they don't move around with the magnetic timeline. That, by far, is the best magnetic timeline implementation that I've ever seen. An enhanced magnetic timeline in LumaFusion. LumaFusion is the NLE for the iPad and iPhone and Chromebooks and whatever else it is, a bunch of things. $29 perpetual license. Now they have add-on packages that you can get, and I have all of those as well. So let me see something. I'm just checking to see, because I'm always curious. A lot of people watching on X, Facebook, YouTube, of course, and we got somebody watching from Twitch. We had somebody from last week that was watching from Twitch. And my friend Luke Charbonneau from Bonjour, Richard, good morning. I met Luke and his son 2 years ago, a year and a half ago at the Final Cut Pro Creator Summit in Cupertino, California. That was very cool. Sometimes I don't know people in person, and I told Luke, I said, he was responding to something that I was posting. I was doing a live stream from the Creative Summit, and he was posting, hey, I'm here at the summit. And I said, make sure you say hi so I know who you are. So when we went down in the lobby, he introduced himself and we hung out. The Creative Summit is the best Final Cut Pro event in the world, in Cupertino, Spaceship Campus, Juniper Hotel. It's absolutely hands down the best. Don't dilute it into the Apple Creator Studio Creative Summit. That's ridiculous. That's like having somebody's birthday in your family. Okay, Timmy, it's your birthday today, but we're not going to call it Timmy's birthday. We're going to call it the entire family's birthday. That's ridiculous if you're thinking about doing that. Don't do it, Final Cut Pro team. Do not call it the Apple Creator Studio Creative Summit. First off, there's too many creators in that. Keep it Final Cut Pro specific. Now, here's the thing. At the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, they've always done all the pro apps. They have motion sessions. They talked about Logic a lot when the Final Cut Pro team did their presentation right by the Apple Spaceship Campus last time. Beautiful theater. Hands down the best Creative Summit ever. For all the people that were there, you are the best. The presenters, etc. 2024 was the last one. They skipped 2025. They canceled the Creative Summit in 2025. So far, they've kind of canceled it for 2026 too, unless they do it in the fall. They said spring 2021, and that hasn't changed that I've seen anywhere. I don't want to see it in July or August. I don't want to go to California in July or August. If they still have a little bit of time left, they could do it up into June. But at this point, I think they're going to once again delay, give us an excuse, because they've given us Two excuses so far. 2 excuses for the Creative Summit, and they didn't come through with either one. Now we're spring 2021, supposedly. They still could have it in the spring 2021. That would be until June. But I'm thinking now they might push it back to the fall, back to November. Skip 2025. They canceled it for 2025. So far, they haven't shown any inkling of a date for 2026. It's aggravating, Apple. Let your customers know what's going on. Release something that says, hey, we're working on the Creative Summit for 2026. We'll get back to you as soon as we get a firm date. Now, the Creative Summit is hands down the best Final Cut Pro event in the world. It's hands down dedicated to Final Cut Pro. If they switch it to the Apple Creator Studio, what are we going to have? Pages sessions? We're going to have numbers sessions? No, I don't want that nonsense. Keep it Pro Apps. Keep it Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Period. Don't dilute that importance of that. What an event we had in Cupertino. What is happening for the next one? We don't know. They haven't canceled it officially. They've postponed it two times, and we still don't know what's going on. It still says spring 2021. Really? Okay, well, we're a month into spring, which means we have 60 days left for spring, and we still don't know anything. Now, here's the thing. They need a big feature update in order to have a Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Well, they had a big one on January the 28th when they came out with Final Cut Pro 12. So typically they don't have feature updates but every 6 months. So now, once again, they could show us a future version of Final Cut Pro at a Creative Summit event. They could do that for sure. They've done it in the past 2 times at least, maybe 3 times. They showed us a version of Final Cut that was not out, that was coming out in a month or 2 months or 3 months. They certainly could do that. They could say, okay, here's the new version of Final Cut Pro. These are the new features. You can talk about it on social media, because we always had permission to talk about it. They never showed us a version of Final Cut Pro and said, oh, don't talk about it, except for the very first one, which was not in Cupertino. It was not in Cupertino, so. Absolutely. So anyway, we don't know. Final Cut Pro Creator Summit, we have to wait till they make an official announcement. It could come at any time. Now, the other thing is, there's a lot of people, when they made the announcement that, well, actually it's still up. Let me go pull that up just for the heck of it. Let me pull that up just for the heck of it. Just for the heck of it. We'll do this. I'll do this. This is the actual, what they said. Now, here's the thing. I don't want you to think this has nothing to do with FMC. FMC is a great company. They know how to put on sessions. This is 100% on Apple. Okay, Final Cut Pro team, Apple, not giving FMC a firm date. It's a lot of moving parts. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. A lot of moving parts. Let's go over here. Let's go over here and do this. That's interesting. Why didn't it? Here we go. Let's do this. So it's a little weird right now. In order to do the vertical one, if you're watching on the vertical, I have to resize things. So here's what it says so far. This is the last thing that we've gotten. That is Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. while we're finalizing our plans for this came on December 31st. While we're finalizing our plans for 2026, we've got something new and we're excited to share. Apple is partnering with FMC on an exclusive Final Cut Pro track at Post-Production World during NAB. Okay? Now, that's not what happened. It is not an exclusive Final Cut Pro track at NAB. It morphed into an Apple Creator Studio track at NAB, which is coming up. It's just happening starting today. The track is on Tuesday. And it's not an exclusive Final Cut Pro track like they said it was going to be. It's an Apple Creator Studio track. They have Pixelmator Pro. They have, I think Mark Spencer is doing he's doing numbers and a bunch of things that I'm not necessarily interested in. And Steve Martin's there, and then the Final Cut Pro, Dylan Bates is doing some stuff there. That's on Tuesday. So if you're at NAB, I want you to do me a couple of favors. Matter of fact, let me pull that up. If you're at NAB, do me a favor and report to me on social media what's going on with those classes, how they're doing, attendance, et cetera, et cetera. Let me go over here. Let me see if I got this right. I'm just looking up the, here we go, Tuesday. So here we're going to look at this. But actually, you know what? I have those up here. Let me do this. Let me get a couple comments first off, Luke said that what a time we had in Cupertino. Not only meeting with everybody, okay, which is very, very cool. We have a lot of people watching today. Not only meeting with all you people who attend, other Final Cut Pro professionals, motion professionals from around the world, 2024 was absolutely hands down the best one. It was the best one. Between the attendees, who were all great, and the presenters were back at the Juniper Hotel. It was superb. We got to go to the Apple Spaceship Campus. The Final Cut Pro team they do two events, the Final Cut Pro Apps team. They do an event where they give us a presentation of a new version of Final Cut Pro with new features. They did it in a beautiful theater. This time instead of like a office classroom setting like they did in 2023. Beautiful. And then we had a Q&A with the Final Cut Pro team. And this is at the Apple Spaceship Campus. That in itself is just worth going to the Creative Summit for. So, Richard, you're right. Creative Summit 2025 was not postponed, but canceled. It was canceled. There was no Final Cut Pro Creative Summit in 2025. It was canceled. You don't postpone it from one year to the next when it's an annual event. It's an annual event. They canceled it for 2025. So far, they're supposed to have one in 2026. There's a lot of moving parts. I completely understand that. There's a lot of this going on with Apple and corporate and making arrangements and making sure I think the biggest thing is the Final Cut Pro team has to have a feature update that's timed with the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. There's no sense in having a Creative Summit if there's no new features for Final Cut Pro to talk about. That's one of the things. Apple or FMC can change the words used, but it was canceled and the news post was not honest. Well, I'm not going to say it wasn't honest. It was honest at the time. So when they posted that in December 31st, that's what they thought. This is before the Apple Creator Studio came out. Here's the thing. I like Final Cut Pro. That's my main interest in Apple apps. Look at the price structure for the Apple Creator Studio apps. Final Cut Pro is the only one that's a premium price, $299. That's the only one. It by far is the most important app in Apple Creator Studio. It's $299. Next one down, Motion, $50. Compressor, $50. Logic Pro is second one down. Logic Pro is $199. So the top two, Final Cut Pro and Logic Pro, which are two of my favorites, $299 and $199. Okay? Those are the pro apps. And then Motion, $50, Compressor, $50, Main Stage, $50, whatever the heck it is. So the two pro apps, Logic Pro and Final Cut Pro, fantastic. Motion, $50. 1/5 of what Final Cut Pro is. The other apps, Pixelmator Pro, I subscribed. I got that way before Apple bought it. I use it all the time. I like Keynote a lot. I don't use Pages, but I do use Numbers. Instead of Pages, I use Notes, the Notes app. I use it all the time for text documents. And one of the reasons is all of the notes that I make are in one place, and I can search for a note because it's all contained. I don't know if it's contained in the Notes app, in the cloud, whatever, but all my notes, my text documents are in one location. I like that a lot. Now, I'm sure I'm not utilizing Pages to its full potential, especially with premium content. Now, I don't know what's going on with Final Cut Pro Creator Summit. Nobody does. I mean, Apple has some kind of an idea. They have some kind of an idea what's going on, but they're not letting us know, the customers know, and they absolutely should be doing that. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, look, we thought it was going to be the spring 2021. It's not. It's going to be November. Now, if you say something like that, do we believe you? Not really. Not really. After you've delayed it 2 or 3 times and you've not kept up with what you promised you were going to do. But I'd rather have it in November, to be honest with you, than summer. So that's fine. Just let us know. Now, here's the thing. They have to time it with the Final Cut Pro feature update. They have to. There's no Creator Summit without a Final Cut Pro feature update. Okay, so we'll see what happens. We'll have to give them a little more leeway like we always do. I'm not sure how I feel about Apple's Creative Cloud unless it remains free. I'm not a subscription model. Then that's fine because I use Pages and Numbers, but that's about it. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Pages and Numbers and Keynote, I think, are supposed to be free, even though you have to update them in the Apple Creator Studio app or that version. They're still supposed to be free unless you want the premium content. We'll talk about premium content in the middle. It's not canceled unless they hold 2 summits in 2026, which won't happen. Well, it was canceled for 2025. The point is, it was canceled. They call it an annual event. It did not happen in 2025. They canceled it for 2025. Now, there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of things at play. Whatever they wanted to do, they said it's going to be the spring of 2026. So far, that hasn't materialized. And I don't want nobody wants an inferior Final Cut Pro Creative Summit than what we had in 2024. We want it equal or better. That's a lot to live up to. That's a lot to live up to. So we'll see what happens. Any update on the Motion VFX Final Cut update? Well, let's just say obviously, when they threw Motion VFX into the Final Cut Pro mix, the app situation, that's going to be a big, big deal. That's not going to be, oh, we're going to give you one little update. We're going to give you a template, 2 templates, whatever. That could have the effect of changing the trajectory of Final Cut Pro. Because not only are we probably going to get Motion VFX plugins, features, but they have the team working on new versions of Final Cut Pro. So the Motion VFX, I guess most of them, all of them, are now working for Apple. Apple acquired them. So those people are now part of the Final Cut Pro Apps team. So they're going to be developing Final Cut Pro going forward, right? That's the best I can figure. They're going to be developing Final Cut Pro going forward. Motion maybe as well. So not only do we get what's already exists, we're probably going to get even more. This could be a big, big boost for Final Cut Pro. I know Buddy says not canceled. Correct. I understand. Could be the Creative Summit 2026 will tie with Motion VFX integration news. That's what I think. I think they're going to, when they do motion integration, I think they're going to jump to Final Cut Pro 13 because that is a gigantic, that's potentially be a gigantic deal. So here's my prediction. Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, Final Cut Pro jumps to version 13 with motion integration, at least the initial integration. That could be a lot of stuff happening. It could be features in Final Cut Pro, and it could be premium content, which is going to require subscription. I don't have any problem with that. If it's a feature, it'll probably be incorporated in the standalone version and the subscription version. Features, I expect in both versions. Premium content is going to be subscription only. That's the way Apple's pushing us, subscription only. Love to see some Motion VFX plugins integrated as native features directly within Final Cut Pro. Yes, that's what I think is going to happen. It's not just going to be, here's the Motion VFX plugins, but they're going to incorporate some of those plugins as features natively in Final Cut Pro, which will be very, very cool. It's okay for me if you have to subscribe for extra premium content and AI features that need access to the cloud, but not extra features that AI are running on the computer. Exactly. So right now, the AI stuff is running locally. So for Final Cut Pro. So if what to see if that continues. But do you think they'll give all these Motion VFX plugins in the subscription without increasing the cost? One of the things I said, listen, I am not on board with this subscription. I haven't subscribed. I have no intentions of subscribing at this point. Now, can they get me to subscribe? Yes, indeedy. If they give us Motion VFX, those plugins as part of this subscription, yeah, at that point you've got me. That's incredible premium content, but keep the price the same. Don't go introducing this on January the 28th and 3 months later you're increasing the price. That's hogwash. Now, Alyssa, they could, I'm not saying they will, they could give us a base level of Motion VFX plugins and features. Here's what we're giving you with the for premium content in the subscription. Here's what we're giving to both the standalone and the subscription as features. But if you want these extra ones, maybe it's a $4.99 add-on package. Who the heck knows? I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're just going to roll out and incorporate motion VFX into future versions of Final Cut. Probably most, if not all, of the plugins eventually. Some as features, some as plugins, and it's all going to be pushing us towards that's $29.99 a month. $12.99 a month Apple Creator Studio. So I think they're just going to do that, and I think it's going to be the motion integration plus whatever else they got up their sleeves. It won't just be the motion integration. They're working on other things in Final Cut Pro. They've had an audio mixer for years. They have an audio mixer in Final Cut Pro. They haven't released it yet. So they could listen, if they did an audio mixer and they did real text-based editing, and they integrated motion VFX, at least the initial batch of motion VFX plugins as part of the subscription for Final Cut Pro 13, what better time to do it than at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit? Now, the thing is, they got to make sure this stuff is ready for the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Otherwise, it doesn't work. I just bought 2 audio plugins for Final Cut Pro and Pixel Film Studios, and they are AI, and they appear inside Logic Pro too. The audio ones should. Yes, the audio ones absolutely should. So if you want to get me to subscribe, Motion VFX is the way to do it. Incorporating all their plugins in Final Cut. Let me see what was going on here. We got a lot of people watching today. I'm just going to check on the breakdown. 18 on X, a bunch on Facebook. Of course, YouTube has the most, and somebody from Twitch is watching as well. If you're from Twitch, go ahead and leave a comment so I know who you are. Somebody from Twitch last time was very helpful getting established on doing the Twitch live stream. It doesn't cost me anymore. I'm broadcasting to 5 social media platforms. It doesn't cost me anymore to do that. Ecamm Live does it. I send them one signal. They split it up into 5 streams, 1 vertical, 4 horizontal. Broccoli in Space, that's the guy. Broccoli in Space was the guy last time who did from Twitch TV. Yeah. He was a big help getting me set up on Twitch, because I reserved my name years ago, but I thought it was a gaming platform. Apparently it's not. There's a lot of live streaming and other stuff. So we're going to keep on broadcasting to Twitch as well. Absolutely. So what do you think about let's talk about a little bit about DaVinci Resolve 21. Phenomenal release. Over 100 features and bug fixes. Now it's in beta. I've downloaded the beta. Listen, they have such incredible features. They've added some kind of a premium titling package into DaVinci Resolve 21 beta. One of the interesting things, for better or for worse, is voice synthesis. So what they have is, I think they have 4 or 5 built-in AI voices, or they can do your voice with a 10-second audio clip. And then all you have to do is type out text, and it'll make the audio clip of that text in one of those voices. Now, the only time you really need that is if you're doing a tutorial or something and you misspoke and you didn't say the right words, or said the wrong words, well, you can put a graphic on screen and then you can type in the correct words with your voice, let them sample your voice, and it'll give you the correct words, the correct audio for your tutorial. That's the only way I'm going to be using it that I know at this point. And that's all included if you have a DaVinci Resolve license like I do here. Mine's from 2017. Grant Petty is giving it to us free once again. No charge for the upgrade to DaVinci Resolve Studio 21 Beta. I've already downloaded my version. Phenomenal. And here's what he said. He said, we're probably going to have to charge for an upgrade as big as this one with all these extra features at some point. But he said, the reason we're not charging this year is because a lot of people have bought DaVinci Resolve Studio. So because a lot of people have bought DaVinci Resolve Studio, which is $299, it finances the engineers that work on DaVinci Resolve Studio. So because of the amount of people who bought DaVinci Resolve Studio, just say in the last year, that has financed a free version for everybody. At some point that could change. You got to keep paying the engineers. They got to make money. So that was very generous of Grant Petty. Have you noted too, Motion VFX, FX Factory, Pixel Films too, they all have their own special installers. You can't install any plugins without them. Yeah, I thought that was always the case. Thought you always had to have a special installation thing. Now here's one of the things I want to do real quick, since I talked about Grant Petty and Motion VFX. Thank you very much for giving us the Studio Upgrade 21 for free. That's just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, Final Cut Pro's been doing that for 15 years as well for the standalone version, but now they've instituted the Apple Creator Studio. I'm not against the Apple Creator Studio since they gave us the option of keeping the standalone version, and so far, feature parity between the two. Not content and not premium content, but feature for feature, both versions are exactly the same. Both versions are exactly the same. That is phenomenal for Apple. Let's give Apple the Apple Final Cut Pro Apps team a round of applause for keeping feature parity between those two versions. But anyway, NAB's happening. I am not going to NAB because I'd have to leave tomorrow morning. And I decided not to go because I didn't go last year either, because there's nothing really drawing me. Well, let me put it this way. There's two of my favorite things are still happening at NAB. Number one is the FMC has a really nice party on Sunday night. It's like a little mini super meet. Everybody from all different fields and Blackmagic design users and Final Cut Pro and Premiere mostly. We have a party. They throw a party for everybody, people that are doing it on Sunday nights. That's one of my favorite things. I'm going to miss that. The other thing is DaVinci Resolve and going to see the gigantic Blackmagic booth DaVinci Resolve has. They have by far the biggest presence at NAB, every NAB. So those two things are still happening. And I'm going to miss them this year. But there's no super meet. The super meet was a giant draw for me to go to NAB. I love the super meet. If they had a super meet this year, I would have gone. If they had a super meet, I would have gone. Final Cut Pro Apps team presentations. They had those official presentations by Apple in 2017 and 2018. The team was there. They showed us Final Cut Pro. They showed us Final Cut Pro in use by professionals. Gone. No Apple presence, Final Cut Pro, Pro App presence to the public since 2019. The last time there was presence from Apple Pro Apps at NAB was 2019, and they had somebody on the Faster Together stage doing a presentation representing Apple and the Final Cut Pro Pro Apps team. So that's 7 years ago. Nothing since then. That's one of the other things that got me to go to NAB. A third thing was, what else used to get me to go? Well, that's 4 things. Blackmagic, Super Meet, presentation from the Final Cut Pro Pro Apps team, and for Faster Together. They had a bunch of things leading up to 2019. Now, no more. That was LumaForge, and they've disappeared. I don't know what the heck happened to those. BreadFX, by example, installed without a private installer, and the Final Cut Pro plugins also installed. I see what you're saying. You're talking about they have to have an app installed rather than just a one-by-one installer. Yes, you're absolutely correct, Daniel. Absolutely. So, NAB is happening now. Here's the things I'm excited about. Obviously, DaVinci 2021 beta. I would love to have gone there and talked to them. And sometime Grant Petty's out there, the CEO of Blackmagic Design is out there. I interviewed him in 2024. Was it 2024? I think it was. I didn't go in 2025, and I'm not going this year. Have you explored Claude AI for video footage analysis, create rough cut or creating XML timelines for Final Cut Pro? I have not. I'm going to need everyone's help. By the way, you also, all of you, thank you for tuning in all the time and showing up here. Thank you for the people that go the extra mile and support me on buymeacoffee.com. That's really, really nice. I had some support for going to NAB. I said, I'm not going to NAB and I'll refund your money. And the people that had supported me said, don't worry about it. So I will save your money until a Final Cut Pro Creator Summit is announced, and I'll use it for that specifically. Final Cut Pro Creator Summit, if they do it back at the Juniper, it will be in Cupertino because that's what they do. Going to the Spaceship Campus is a giant, giant benefit. All the attendees that came in 2024, that was the best attendees of any Final Cut Pro Creator Summit. It was the best. You all were fantastic. I really appreciated it. But anyway, what I typically do, I'll do some reporting live from the lobby. I'll do the Expo night live from the lobby. Obviously, I can't do any live streaming from Apple Spaceship Campus, but every morning, every night and every morning, I'll kick up a live stream and report what's going on, if anything, and I give you an opportunity to come and discuss things. That's one of the things that I do. So we got some new people watching right now. Let us know where you're from. Introduce yourselves to this fantastic audience. But as far as AI goes, I'm going to need some prodding to utilize that. I mean, I do it. I mean, text-based editing, isn't that AI-based? Voice isolation, isn't that AI-based or machine learning? I'm not sure exactly what the difference is. So I do a couple of those things, but as far as other things, I need some, hey, Richard, try this specifically. I'm not going to go and download this installer here and that installer there and this installer there and join a group just to do it. I'm not least bit interested in that. If it doesn't have one installer and it installs, I'm not interested. I'm not doing all the other stuff. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about NAB. So we say Blackmagic Design and their hardwares and softwares line up and are separate. All others don't offer the same close to total workflow integration. Blackmagic Design is all about video production. Their entire company is dedicated to video production, now audio and everything. That's the entire company. They're not selling iPhones. They're not selling iPads. They're not selling subscriptions. They have some kind of a temporary license you can get for 30 days, but that's not what I'm talking about. They're a phenomenal company. They're dedicated to video production. Apple Final Cut Pro is probably this big to Apple compared to iPhones and iPads and Macs and services and Apple stores. Final Cut Pro is this big. So it's not a video production company like Blackmagic Design is. My recurring buy me a coffee subscription is for you to be able to do your reporting when you go somewhere. Oh, I hopefully I'm going to the Creative Summit when that happens. And I'll go like a day early, and I'll do live streams dedicated to the Creative Summit leading up to the Creative Summit. The very first one I did live stream was 2016. I think it was 2016. It might have been 2017 at the Creative Summit. And I started from here, from my house, testing audio, listening to audio, which microphones worked best on live streaming, and the whole 9 yards. So I'll be doing the same thing once they announce a date. Now, see, here's the thing. You got to get hotel room. You got to get airfare. You got to reserve your ticket. You got to make preparations with your family. You got to make preparations from work if you're working. It's a whole big deal. It has to happen. So it takes a lot. Well, we talked about that, Matthew. Did we get lied to about the Spring Creative Summit? No, lied is too strong a word. Lied is too strong a word. So here's what I think happened. Like I said, the Final Cut Pro Apps team has to coordinate and update a feature update for Final Cut Pro with the Creative Summit. It makes no sense to have a Creative Summit without a Final Cut Pro feature update. That's one of the main things you're going to see. You're going to get exclusive, first-hand look at a new Final Cut Pro feature update. I don't know if it was the Final Cut Pro Apps team's decision to release Final Cut Pro 12 on January the 28th. That might have been an Apple corporate thing saying, no, you're going to release it on January the 28th. We want more subscription money. Give us more money. Give us more money. So the Final Cut Pro team has to do what Apple tells them to do. So I think things just got mixed up because of that January 28th. I mean, to me, they could have had a Final Cut Pro Creative Summit on January the 28th. Or it's January, to announce Final Cut Pro 12. That would have been suitable. That wouldn't have been the spring, it would have been the winter, but that would have been suitable. So, look, we've been giving the Final Cut Pro team lots of leeway since Final Cut Pro 10.4.11. We've been giving them tons of leeway. There's no sense in stopping now. We have to keep, if you like Final Cut Pro, you're going to keep using it. Let's give them a little bit more, a little bit more. I mean, there's nothing else we can do anyway. Before we could say Avid was offering total integration or workflow for video production, but now Blackmagic Design have mostly closed the gap or is closing on Avid. I think Blackmagic Design is way above Avid. Leaps and bounds above Avid. Avid does servers and stuff, and then they do the software. Blackmagic Design has cameras and switchers and audio mixers and tons more stuff. Avid is a small, numbers-wise, but important. It's an important segment of video production, but their numbers are probably in the tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 or a little bit more. Out of these companies, I highly respect Blackmagic Design. I do too as well. Who else lowers prices on their products when they can? And it seems to be on a regular basis. That's why I support them. I'll continue to do so. And they gave us DaVinci Resolve 21 Studio as a free upgrade for existing users. Phenomenal. Now they did, Grant Petty did say we probably will have to charge at some point, but there's so many people downloading that it paid for the engineer, so they didn't have to do it this year. I'm just glad I haven't wasted my money thus far with the subscription. I haven't seen the value since I already own Final Cut Pro. Likewise, Matt, likewise, there's nothing there that's going to get me subscribed. Add motion VFX content, that changes. I probably will not get it. I will have to see what the content is. I mean, motion VFX plugins are top tier. They are premium stuff. So if they add that into Final Cut Pro, they're going to do something with it. The motion VFX acquisition was not for Tim Cook's sake. He's not going to add that to the iPhone. Well, at least we don't think so. It's definitely for Final Cut Pro and Motion and the Pro apps. So I agree. There's no reason for me to subscribe. I'm using Final Cut Pro 12.2 for most of my stuff. But I don't care about the rest. I don't care about the templates and numbers and the templates and pages and the templates in Keynote. Doesn't interest me. There's Pro apps, okay? Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, Motion, Compressor. I've never used MainStage. I don't use that. So those are the 4 Pro apps. Pixelmator Pro is there somewhere. Pages, numbers, Keynote, they're not Pro apps. They're junior apps. They're down here. Pixelmator Pro, it's like here. Logic Pro, Final Cut Pro, and Motion. And we'll throw Compressor in there. Look at the prices. Final Cut Pro is $300. Logic Pro is $200. That tells you right there the importance of those apps in the Pro apps hierarchy. Now, I use numbers. I don't use it for video production. It's nothing that I would go to Cupertino to see a tutorial on. Come on. I go to Cupertino to see Final Cut Pro mainly, a little bit of Motion, to be with Final Cut Pro editors from around the globe. And I'd like to report live to everybody that can't make it. Because usually 150 people, paid people, plus or minus, and then staff and other, people that are doing the sessions and stuff. Wish Apple bought an integrated audio design desk. That's a phenomenal app. Audio design desk. It's kind of faded into the background because they haven't been very present, but I have it. It's a great app. I agree, Eric. It's a great app. Yeah, that would have been pretty interesting if they did that, but I guess, I don't know. We'll have to see. We will have to see, but here's the thing. I expect, look, I'm always waiting on the next update to Final Cut Pro to right, the ship. Not that it's the Titanic, but it's not really, if it's in a boat race with the rest of the NLEs, it's not, it's, somewhere in the middle to behind. Blackmagic Design, DaVinci Resolve is just, nobody can touch them for updates. But like I said, the company is dedicated to video production. They're dedicated. Now look, Apple Creator Studio, #1 Apple, don't raise the price. Do not raise the price. If that stays at $12.99 and they have premium content for pages and premium content, I don't know what they would add premium content to for numbers. I'm not sure how that's going to work. Graphs or something, perhaps. Keynote, yes. I can see premium content in Keynote being beneficial. Premium content for Pixelmator Pro, absolutely. Give me some good 3D text in Pixelmator Pro. Right now, I got to use another application for premium content. Let's take a look at the backyard. Look at that. Everything's turning green. What the heck's going on there? Snoopy cup. Turn that back on before I forget it. Audio. Yeah, I have a new zero turn lawnmower that I got, and that's weird. So I did my first mowing this week. By the way, I'm loving my Stream Deck XL Plus. Phenomenal. I use it for all kinds of stuff. I have a page set up for Final Cut Pro. For example, scrubbing frame by frame. I got one of the dials. So if I want to scrub the playhead frame by frame, I use one of the dials, my dial, frame by frame, just so it's tactile. I have a dial set up to move a selected edit point. So if I have a selected edit point, I can move it one frame at a time, left or right, physically with the dial. I have one that makes freeze frames. What else do I have? A bunch of other ones that I have. It's really, really cool. They have a whole series of, you can download these plugins with the, not plugins, but the, whatever the heck they're called, the icons, and you can download one for DaVinci Resolve. They can download one for Final Cut Pro. I'm using the free ones right now. You can program your own. It's phenomenal. Stream Deck XL, Stream Deck Plus XL. Phenomenal. What do you think about Avid getting Gemini integration? I'm not sure what Gemini is. I don't know what Gemini is. You have to tell me. You will have to tell me. Well, you know what? I wanted to... I wanted to do this last week, and my battery was expired, so I didn't get a chance. But this is my 69 Strat. And that's that little amp back there. That's that little amp. I love this thing. It's got a iPhone modeling thing. You can put compressors and pages in. But I wanted to play it last week. I didn't get a chance to because the battery had died. So there's a little taste of that. Good old 69 Strat. So this is, I think it might be too late to announce Final Cut Pro Creative Summit for spring. My schedule is full until August. So I hope it will be held in November. I think so as well. I think it's too late for spring. I mean, technically, they could still squeeze it in, but you really need to give people minimum of 60 days, if not 90 days notice. So I expect another announcement. And once again, this is on you, Apple. Don't expect us to just jump on it and believe it, because you've already given us excuse after excuse about the Creative Summit. So I'll be happy if I can book my flight based on an actual date, but don't tell us Oh, in the future, we're going to take care of you, because we don't necessarily believe it, because you've given us excuse after excuse. When somebody, gives you excuses why this is delayed and that's delayed. But I'd like to see something. Let us know something. Gemini is like Google's Chat GPT, I believe. Gemini is Google AI. Okay, there we go. Google AI, another one. So I see. Gemini is the Google version of Chat GPT, and many find it superior to Chat GPT. Okay. Now I know what Gemini is. I gotcha. So the Chat GPT, there's how many major AI chats do we have? We have Gemini, we have Chat GPT, we have Grok, we have Perplexity. We have a bunch of them, but we'll have to see how that all plays out. I like editing personally. I like the creative aspect of it. So NAB. Now, the things that I'm excited about, and if I went to NAB, I'm not going this year. If I did go to NAB, there's a couple of things. Michael Wright says 5. Okay, that's what I thought, like 5. So if you're at NAB, please do me a favor. Number one is go to the FMC's party on Sunday night. Let me know how that is. That's always phenomenal. I got videos I'll put up this weekend of some of the parties that they had in the past. But go to the Final Cut Pro track. Matter of fact, I was going to pull that up, wasn't I? Go to the Final Cut Pro. Well, it's not a Final Cut Pro track, like they said. Apple Creator Studio track. See? Once again, in December, they said an exclusive Final Cut Pro track. That morphed into the Apple Creator Studio track. I really don't care about the Apple Creator Studio like I care about Final Cut Pro, even though Final Cut Pro is contained in the Apple Creator Studio, and with the possibility of new features plus motion integration could really boost Final Cut Pro. It's contained in Apple Creator Studio. I don't care about Apple Creator Studio. I mean, I care about it because it contains Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, Motion for people that like motion, a compressor, Pixelmator Pro. I like it, the individual things, a lot. Keynote, I like Keynote a lot. I like numbers. I'm sure I could do something with Pages if I looked into it. So the bundle itself, but I really care about Final Cut Pro. Look at the price, $299, Final Cut Pro. Logic Pro, $199. Motion, $50. Compressor, $50. I forget what Pixelmator Pro was. I forget what I did there. Anyway, back to NAB. So DaVinci Resolve 21, phenomenal announcement. And like Matthew says, I'm excited about the Pocket 4 Pro, Insta360 Luna, and curious about the new GoPro mission camera. And Rode announced a new audio system. Rode announced a brand new audio system. It looks to be a step up, but it might just be the old, it looks like it's the old style where you clip something on your belt and then you run a lapel up to your mouth, or run a lapel up to your jacket, like the old body pack and then the other pack. Rode has, that's what it looks like. So they have that. Is DJI announcing a new microphone system? What about Hollyland? Hollyland right now, to me, is the best. Although, let me say one thing. I'm also looking at the Pocket 4 Pro, if we can get it in the States. And it has DJI integration, mic integration. If that's the case, if I ended up getting a DJI Pocket 4 Pro, I would certainly get the DJI mics to go with it. Now, here's the thing. When I look at the Pocket 4 Pro, I'm holding something like this, or it just looks kind of dinky. It looks kind of weird to be a camera. But I love the fact that it's on a gimbal. And if it has integration, seamless integration with DJI mics, I'll at least get the little cheapies, the little cheap ones. The ones that don't record internally. But what I would do when I'm filming with it, have one of those mics on me and one of those mics on somebody else, I would still have my Hollyland Lark Max 2 recording independent audio. So I'd have like 2 mics on my shirt. But yeah, I'm going to wait for the Insta360 Luna 2. First off, I'm not in any hurry. I have 2 iPhones. I got my Action 5 Pro that I really like. I use it all the time. I have a DJI 4K mini drone for anything up in the air or whatever. So I have my Lumix S5 Mark IIX. I don't need another camera. But I've never had one of those little, Pocket 4 things. So now I'm curious because the one is saying it does 8K at 60 frames per second. It's crazy. I mean, I shoot in 6K sometimes, and I just make a widescreen version for YouTube and stuff. But we'll see. Yeah, I'm interested in the Pocket 4s or the Insta360 Luna or whoever else comes out with one. I'm interested in new microphone systems. Somebody's got to be doing something at NAB besides DaVinci Resolve, right? I think so. It would make complete sense. What do we got back here? So, what is Apple doing with the new Macs? I mean, are the M5 Mac Studios coming out? Sometime soon. What about the M5 iMac? What about an M5 iMac Pro? Is that a possibility? I'll be getting something probably this year. I just want to upgrade my Mac Mini, my M4 Mac Mini Pro. I want to upgrade that to probably the Studio. Although I might opt to get an M5 or an M6 MacBook Pro because they're giving me they're giving me $1,200 on my M1 Max 2021 MacBook Pro. So I might do that. Plus, this is old now, so if I bought one instead of the Mac Studio, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I might get that. The touchscreen one is interesting that they're talking about, but I've said that for years they're going to have it. I start to be afraid the minimum base storage for computers will need to be about 2 terabytes and 4 terabytes to keep them plugins templates local on our computers. I mean, yeah, I hear you. M6 products are leaked already, maybe in the fall, winter. I saw that the M6 MacBook Pro, they're saying, touchscreen, limited touchscreen. That doesn't interest me as much as it once did. But I mean, if I get a good price, we'll have to see. I'm doing fine. There's no rush for me to buy a pocket camera or a new microphone system. I'm completely stable. I did send back my DJI Neo 2, by the way, the drone. I tried it for 28 days, and it's too cheap. It's not really it's very lightweight. And the real it does some of the stuff pretty cool. It does follow you and all that, but it would fly away. If you did a wrong hand gesture or something, or it saw a reflection, it would just go woo, and it's out of control. And I don't have a controller for it, so it kept crashing into trees. And they kept saying, oh, it's because you had this shiny object in front of you. What nonsense. I don't want something like that. So I sent it back, got my money back. Just using my trusty, handy-dandy DJI 4K Mini, which shoots 4K and does a great job. It has a controller, though, but it does a great job. So I'm glad I sent that back. So what am I going to get this year? I'm probably going to get one of those pocket cameras, because they look pretty cool. And the idea of having a little gimbal, it's like a little mini gimbal on a stick, which is really, it's kind of funny. A little teeny screen you turn sideways. Compared to this, I mean, this is a gigantic screen. Those little teeny screens, it's got to get used to, I guess. But just having it in my pocket, I can pull it out, no gimbal, ready to go, ready to shoot with, pro audio somehow, is pretty appealing. So I'll probably get one of those. I haven't decided. MacBook with touchscreen, get your screen cleaning cloths. Well, here's the thing, Daniel. First off, I have a lot of these cloths. Just because it's a touchscreen doesn't mean you can use it constantly. It's just some of the time. For example, my iPad, I keep alcohol wipes with my iPad. Clean the screen with alcohol wipe. Have one of these cloths, wipe it dry. It's fine. It's fine. But I don't, the touchscreen's not important to me. I thought it was at one point. It's not. If you got a touchscreen, doesn't mean you can use it all the time. Maybe you can use it some of the time. Some of the time, not all the time. I will likely get an M4 Studio after the M6 chips shipped. You mean there's an M6 Studio? They're talking about M6? I thought the M5s were next in line for the Studio. I know the M6, they talked about it for the MacBook Pro. I would be surprised, though. I would be kind of surprised. They put the M5 out in the spring and the M6 out 6 months later. I don't know about that. We'll have to see. I'm still using the Mavic 3. The new ones don't really have anything I'm missing. Absolutely. I completely hear you. Completely hear you. We got so much stuff. I like to have one of those stick cameras, though, the pocket cameras, just because it's so, I can keep it in my pocket. And I have a gimbal. That's really cool. And it's shooting 8K, 60 frames per second, and 240 at 4K. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. But I'd like to have it in my pocket and pull it out, and I got a professional setup instantly. No gimbals, nothing. Now, I'd have to get the one with the screw on the bottom so I can put it on the monopod. No, I meant M6 ships, I'll get high-end M4. Gotcha. So I'm thinking the same thing. I mean, I've got my prices. I've got prices of the existing M5 MacBook Pro, M4 Mac Studio, and M4 Mac Mini Pro. I got the prices, the current prices of those, just for a general comparison. We'll have to see how that goes. I could very well get an M4 Studio once the M5 comes out, if the prices drop enough. I really could. Or I'm just going to get an M5 MacBook Pro. I still haven't decided yet, because this one is 2021, so it's 5 years old. Even though I don't use it that much, they're giving me $1,200 on it on a trade-in. And I don't want to be without a MacBook Pro. I got to have a MacBook Pro for when I travel. If I go to the Creative Summit, I got to have Ecamm Live. So, I mean, here's one thing. I like Mac OS a lot better than iOS or iPad OS or iPhone OS. I like it a lot better. Mac OS is a lot better. So, if there is a Creative Summit in 2026, I need to have a MacBook Pro. If I get an M5 MacBook Pro, I won't get the Studio. I'll just stick with the MacBook Pro and use it as a desktop, but I'm getting $1,200 from my existing one, which is not bad. for a 5-year-old laptop, $1,200. Not bad. Not bad at all. My suggestion to you, Richard, if the price is close, get a Mac Studio. Absolutely. No, I wouldn't get another Mac Mini because the Mac Studio has 4 Thunderbolt ports, I think, if I'm not mistaken, instead of 3. It has USB. It has a whole bunch of things that I would get for a desktop. But I'm thinking this. I have to test some things. What I would do though, if I traded in my MacBook Pro for a new MacBook Pro, I would keep my Mac Mini, the existing one, and I would use the MacBook Pro as my desktop, the M5. We'll have to see how that goes. No, I'm not getting another Mac Mini. Nothing wrong with it. It's just that I'm going to step it up. If I do get the Mac Studio, if I do get a desktop, it'll be the Mac Studio. It won't be another Mac Mini. But I'll keep the Mac Mini because they're only giving me $750 on it. No, for that, I'll keep it, and I'll probably dedicate it to my LTO9, to an LTO9 system. It's probably what I'll do. So anyway, NAB. Is anybody going to NAB in the audience? Is anybody going? If you are, contact me so I know what's going on. Just social media. Everything's Richard Taylor TV, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, Twitch. Let me see something. Yeah, we got people watching on Twitch. Absolutely. Fantastic. We've got a lot of people on X again. 39 people on X right now. 39 people on X. YouTube has a bunch. Twitch, Facebook Live. So if you're going to NAB, let me know what's going on, anything special. I mean, we know about DaVinci Resolve, but there's got to be new microphones coming out. There's the new cameras, the stuff, and any new software. This time, Blackmagic is right here. Av is right across from them. They're smaller, of course. And I think Premiere is also close by. So all 3 of the major NLEs are right there. My beef with MacBook of any kind is the planned obsolescence decided by the battery factor, but it is only me. Most people don't see it that way, but I get Apple Care with my MacBook Pro, so battery's covered. If the battery goes down, I can get a new battery under Apple Care, so that's not a factor for me. And I like my MacBook Pro. I mean, I'm only using it as a screen, as a third screen right now. But when I didn't have the Mac Mini, the MacBook Pro was my desktop. But the thing is, this one's 5 years old, isn't it? Shouldn't I get a new MacBook Pro? I might get a new MacBook Pro. I might get one. I might get one of the M5s. There's no hurry. We'll have to see. I mean, I think the M6s will be through the roof. Touchscreen, whatever. I really don't care about that like I thought I would. I have a separate keyboard for my MacBook Pro, a separate mouse for my MacBook Pro, and I would use the M5 as my new desktop. And then I'd have another MacBook Pro for when I stream live from Cupertino or whatever. So a couple of questions. Is anybody going to NAB? If you are, let me know. Be in contact. Let me know what's going on, especially the Final Cut Pro track. Let me pull that up. I keep talking about that. Here. So here is my website, fcpx.tv. It's the longest running Final Cut Pro dedicated website of anybody. I've been continuously running since Final Cut Pro came out. But anyway, this is what I was going to show you. So this is FMC's track Final Cut Pro and Apple Creator Studio. So Steve Martin is doing mobile production with live multicam, which is not Final Cut Pro specific. It's Final Cut on the iPad. I know he probably transfers it to Final Cut Pro. Create your own Final Cut Pro templates with our friend Jen Jager. AI enhanced Creator Studio workflows. I really don't care about Creator Studio that much. So I care more about Final Cut Pro, but Mark is doing something with that. Pixelmator Pro crash course. That could be interesting. Our friend Jen Jager again. 10 Apple Motion secrets with Dylan Bates, Final Cut Pro, and then the Ultimate Creative Studio tips and tricks. Once again, I really don't care about Creative Studio tips and tricks. I'm more interested in Final Cut Pro tips and tricks, but I guess they intermingle at this point. But once again, look at the price of Final Cut Pro versus the price of Pages. One is free, one is $300 or numbers or whatever. I mean, to me, you're diluting the importance of Final Cut Pro by using Apple Creative Studio rather than Final Cut Pro or even the Pro apps. But it is what it is. It doesn't really affect the version of Final Cut Pro. I've seen many of these tips and tricks shows. I've taped them before and stuff, so that'll be cool. If I was at NAB, I'd certainly go to some of those sessions. But if you're going to NAB and going to these sessions, let me know how they're attended and what you think. So that's what that is. I understand with the M chips, a powerful computer in a mobile form factor is now a fact. I've also asked anybody who goes to NAB to send me info so we get a fantastic Saturday special from him. If anything major comes out of NAB, I'm going to probably do a live stream, but I think what is the right way to say this? I think we've already seen the major stuff from Blackmagic. DJI has announced stuff. I'll be curious what the Rode new mic system is. I saw that somewhere. But it's not the little wireless ones. It's not those. It looks like it's a traditional belt transmitter with a lapel mic and then a receiver back at the camera. That's what it looks like. It might not even be for phones. It might just be for, standard cameras. Anybody else, if you're new to this show, say hi in the comments so we know where you are. We got like 65 people watching live right now from X. 5 social media platforms. YouTube and X are the biggest ones. Facebook is the third largest. Instagram, and we're now on Twitch TV, which we're gonna keep on going to those. It seems to work out well. Does anybody have any questions or any bugs to report on Final Cut Pro 12.2? Anything else? Do I have anything else? Maybe I do. Wait a minute. Let me see something here. Black. Well, that's that. Clean shot. We have that. Oh, what else do we have? Well, let's do this. Well, let's do some of our comments first. Still running 11.1. Absolutely. I have 11.1. As a matter of fact, if I double click on a library, it tries to open like version 11. I have to go manually open with and go to 12.2. Be fantastic gift from Final Cut Pro team or Apple. We hear the famous one more things in bag the big news. Here we go. Watching from Vancouver Island. Thank you very much. Thank you for telling us where you are. Got to stay in sync with my clients' installs. I completely understand that. That is absolutely a smart thing to do. Let's go back to here for a second. So one of the things that has happened, which I've told you about prior, we're past 750,000 YouTube views. That's phenomenal. We are past 750,000 views on YouTube. Well, I think we're up to 760,000. We're heading towards 800,000 views on YouTube. And that's not including X, and that's not including Facebook Live as well. Both of those. Very, very cool. All righty. So we got hello, watching from Vancouver Island. Fantastic. Hi from the Netherlands. Absolutely. I had to run a 10X version to get a Motion VFX plugin to work. Wow. I haven't been on 10 since 2024, right? When at the Creative Summit, when they came out to 11, November of 2024, that's when we saw it for the first time. I'm looking forward. Listen, right now it's kind of Creative Summit. It's kind of off my radar somewhat. Even though I talk about it on this show, I don't really think about it day-to-day basis. So, but I'll be excited when they finally announce. I mean, don't just say, oh, we're going to move it to November. Well, that's boring. And also, can we trust you after this is the third time you've said something? We need a specific date. We need a specific date. Book your airfare. Book the hotel. Book a Airbnb. Whatever. Don't just say, oh, we're going to do it in November. Or we're going to do it in spring of 2027. We don't believe those things anymore because you've cried wolf too many times. I agree, NAB-wise. I do think the next big thing will be affordable 4K cores and compact creator switches. Running on a Mac Pro cylinder. Very, very interesting. How is Lucy doing? Well, I got a picture. Lucy's doing good. She was in the hospital. That's our beautiful, beautiful cat. She was in the hospital. Let me pull her up since you mentioned it. This is Lucy, our beautiful cat. She was in the hospital a few weeks ago. She's come out of the hospital. She's been fine. It took about a week, 2 weeks to get her to get back to normal. But she's a beautiful cat. We love her dearly. She's one of our 2 indoor cats. So there's Lucy. She's doing phenomenal. We're really happy. Globe apparently doesn't work on M1. What is Globe? I'm not sure what Globe is. I do wish I had the cache for 48 gigabytes of RAM for my Mini M4 Pro instead of 24. I get 64. Typically, I get 64. 48 minimum, but I get 64 gigs. Are you afraid the Final Cut Pro, the Creative Summit, be totally abandoned for Creative Studio Summit? Well, here's the thing. That's only really a name, okay? It doesn't really change Final Cut Pro. And as long as they had the majority of Final Cut Pro sessions, secondarily Motion sessions, it's just a name change. But I really don't care about the Apple Creator Studio as much as I care about Final Cut Pro. Now, the fact that Final Cut Pro is part of it, the major part, it's got to be the biggest influence for people to get it, especially with motion VFX integration. It's really only a name change, but it's a stupid name change. And I'll not stop saying that. If they call it the Apple Creative Studio, I'm still going to call it Final Cut Pro Creative Studio Summit. Still going to call that. But I'm not. It's not. It's just a matter. Do I think it's can happen? I think it's possibly because they did it at NAB from an exclusive Final Cut Pro track to a generic Apple Creator Studio track. It's not an exclusive Final Cut Pro track, which they said in December, but it's okay. They have good people teaching, and all of our friends are teaching. I don't want to see the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit changed that way, though. That would be very disappointing. Glow from MFX generates a beautiful rotating Earth. Gotcha. So, we have some new people watching. Absolutely. See what the backyard's doing. Anything going on back there? I don't think so. I think beautiful, beautiful greenery. That's our bird feeder in the foreview. So our friend Michael says, I'm still not clear on what was removed from compressor, but I understand they removed view codecs recently. Can you clear this up? Absolutely. We'll do that right now. This is what was removed from compressor. Oh, this is I'm sorry, that's not what I wanted to show you. This is what was removed from compressor. Removes H.264 for Blu-ray encoding support. Removes support for encoding H.4 interlaced video. Removes support for Dolby Digital. Removes support for encoding to ABC Intra on Apple Silicon. That's what's been removed. I mean, it's kind of silly to do an upgrade and remove features. I mean, we got upgrades for Final Cut Pro for years, and they didn't add a whole lot. I mean, going from 12 to 12.2, it had 2 bug fixes, but they didn't remove anything like they did in Compressor 5.2. Now, the reason that I think they did that was the first graphic that I showed you, because there's been a change in the fees starting in 2026. They increased the fees dramatically. The H.264 people, H.265 people, they reduced the fees dramatically for people that have a high profile and use a lot of downloads. So I think that's the reason. I like that Apple is increasing the base storage of the computers. Have only been standard configurations when an offer to build to order rarely are sold with a discount. Exported it clean in 4.4.4.4 from 10x to drop it in 11.1. Here's an upgrade, all stick, no carrot. Well, it's worse than that. It's they cut the stick off. They cut the carrot, they didn't even have a carrot. They don't allow Blu-ray, it's the encoding. But here's the thing, Michael. Apple didn't do this arbitrarily, okay? They didn't say, hey, we're going to just pull things out of compressor just for the heck of it. See if anybody notices. Obviously, there's probably a financial reason. There's probably a good reason that we might not know. I just think that it's because of the licensing increases happened in April 2026, the same time we got the compressor H.264 removal of certain features. So to me, that's too much of a coincidence not to be a reason. Apple never adopted Blu-ray after the failure of HD DVD, not even a Blu-ray icon in the Finder. Yeah, I stopped worrying about DVDs a long time ago, although I have a Blu-ray player. I think I have 2 Blu-ray players. And I have a Blu-ray burner. I haven't used it. At one point I had Blu-ray media. I don't even know if I have Blu-ray media anymore. But anyway, I have a film that's going to be shown in this poster right here. It's called Raz the Documentary. It's going to be shown at the Greenbelt Theater, April the 26th, Sunday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This is the 4th showing we've had of this in local theaters. This is our film. Jeff Krulik and I, the guy that did Heavy Metal Parking Lot, and Ernest Borgnine on the Bus, and Led Zeppelin played here, kind of a cult producer, editor. Well, he's not really an editor, he's a producer kind of guy. We got this documentary about a local DC original band that was incredible. But, well, you have to watch it. It'll be out at some point. I miss Lightscribe Media burning in labels. I used to use DVD Studio Pro when I worked at the National Archives. We had to burn DVDs. We had to burn DVDs still. So, what are we doing here? NAB? Anything else? I mean, we'll probably be getting, not probably, we'll be getting news about NAB coming up this week, obviously. They'd open Sunday, and the Final Cut, it's not a Final Cut Pro track, it's an Apple Creator Studio track, is on Tuesday, but there's no other Apple presence, and it's not unusual. It's not unusual. Since 2019 was the last time Apple was publicly at NAB. So that's 6-7 years ago. They're probably not coming back, but there's nothing there this year. Some people thought there was going to be a big Final Cut Pro announcement at NAB, and I said, I don't think so. Some people thought that the new Apple Final Cut Pro exclusive track at NAB was going to be the new Final Cut Pro Creator Summit, and I said, no. Final Cut Pro Creator Summit is in Cupertino. We get to go to Apple Spaceship Campus. Still have software for disk T@2 on the data side. Sorry for jumping in late. I just got finished filming a marathon here in Charlotte. Are you excited about anything at NAB coming up? Does anybody care about NAB? I mean, I care about it. I like Blackmagic being there. I like FMC. FMC has incredible tracks. Just Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. They have tracks going, 4 different tracks going at any given time. Mostly, I think Premiere, I think Adobe's co-sponsoring them this year. And they have Blackmagic stuff. They have the Final Cut Pro track on Tuesday. And they have other social media things and a bunch of tracks Saturday through Tuesday. Tracks, lots of tracks. So FMC is exciting. They have stuff. And then I'm just curious about the Final Cut Pro track, how that does. Because NAB has not been a Final Cut Pro event for a long time. It just hasn't been. People don't go to NAB for Final Cut Pro stuff. I mean, a few of us do, but the majority are there for I would say Adobe is probably one of the biggest reasons, and then Blackmagic probably as well. Nowadays, Avid's there in big presence. There's a lot of hardware manufacturers. DJI is there. It's, what's a couple of the other hardware people? They have cameras. Of course, Panasonic will be there showing stuff off. Sony will be there, of course. A lot of the hardware manufacturers will be there. What's going on there? Perhaps I go to IBC in September. Yeah, I'm not going. I've never been to IBC. NAB is the biggest post-production event like this in the world. I'd go to that. I'm hoping for some more updates from Blackmagic Design at NAB, specifically the autofocus on some of their cameras. So I'm considering an upgrade soon. It doesn't work that well, the current one. Blackmagic Design with a 2 H30-minute presentation, not much left for Big Splash to NAB. Yeah, 2 hours, 30 minutes. Yes, I agree. But they used to have a press conference at NAB. Okay? They used to have a press conference. Let me pull that up. Because I attended those. I've attended those in the past. So let me show you. Let me show you. This is one that I attended, 2019.
Work right here on the color page. I know a lot of you are already familiar with what we had. Well, we've taken it up quite a bit. So let me just show you a few things that we have. For example, I'm going to switch timelines to my color timeline. A bit bigger for you. And there it is. And as you can see, we've got this character in the background. It turns out they had a script change. It happens. And it turns out they don't want to have that character in the background anymore. We need to get rid of
This is my, hold on one second. This is my setup in 2019. That was a GH4 or a GH5. And am I broadcasting live? No, I'm not. Oh, so that's my setup in 2019 at the Blackmagic press conference. That's the cage that I had. I had a tripod. I was back there with the other press people. And I was just filming, and the reason is because I can tell there's no HDMI out. There's no HDMI out from my GH4 or GH5, whatever that was. But I filmed it, and of course, I'm capturing this picture of my Panasonic camera setup with my iPhone. Now, I don't think I was streaming with my iPhone. I think I just took a picture of my setup at that point.
it happens. And it turns out they don't want to have that character in the background anymore. We need to get rid of him.
No, thank you.
But that was what Blackmagic used to do. This is pre-pandemic. So this is 2019. They used to have a press conference before NAB officially opened up, like the hour before. Grant Petty would be there, just like the live stream that you saw this week. That's exactly what we had in these press conferences, physical press conferences. Well, after COVID, They stopped doing those, and they just do the live video, and they broadcast that live now. I'm constantly using up and down arrows in the inspector to nudge values. It keeps biting me when I mistakenly think I'm in the timeline, jump to edit points, and need to undo the nudging. Yes, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Absolutely. So, I'm not sure what this means. This is from Twitch. Best viewers, streamboo.live. Okay. But that's from Twitch TV. First comment from Twitch today. We're going to be broadcasting on Twitch from here on out. I'm kind of surprised. That's bot spam. Okay, well, I took them off. Okay. I wasn't sure what that was. It was just from Twitch. So, if there's any big announcement at NAB, I mean, listen, Apple could make some kind of an announcement about Final Cut Pro this week during NAB. They've done it once on NAB Sunday. Apple did. They updated Final Cut Pro. They're not going to update Final Cut Pro. It was just updated in January with features, January 28th. This is only like 3 months later. Okay, well, let me... all right. Since Stream Book regularly spams her ads on Twitch, okay, I just banned them from commenting. I can, Ecamm Live has a ban tag. Anybody that comments, I can ban them. So I just banned them since you guys told me that's a spam. I don't know. I'm not on Twitch. That's a spam, bot spam. So they're banned now. They can't comment on these streams anymore. But that was only on Twitch. So anyway, Apple could make a surprise announcement this week during NAB to capitalize on publicity around NAB. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they would have done it already. Oh, here you go. Unfortunately, they use a unique username every time. Okay, well, anything about Stream Boo, I'll ban from now on. I didn't know that. Does we have to have lost hope for Final Cut Pro big update at NAB in 2026? I never had any hope that there were going to be a big update for Final Cut Pro at NAB because we had the big update on January the 28th and it's too close. Usually they don't do big updates, but every 6 months or longer. So it would be a pleasant surprise if Apple pulled out a Hail Mary, so to speak, at NAB and did some kind of an announcement this week, but I'd be very surprised if they did that. Very surprised. So, but anyway, let's see what we got here. Oh, let's put this up. We didn't put that up. Don't forget to like and subscribe over there, YouTube at Richard Taylor TV. All my social media is there. Click the like, thumbs up, subscribe button. Absolutely. We're here every Saturday if you're new. If you're new, we're here every Saturday. Thank you very much. Got another one of those. Every Saturday we're here plus or minus 10 a.m. talking about post-production. I'm excited about a few hardware things, looking for new microphones at NAB, looking at the pocket camera. I'm going to probably buy one of those. So the money, not the money that you sent in, Eric and Daniel, whoever you guys sent money in on buymeacoffee.com, your money is being saved for Final Cut Pro Creator Summit. But the money that I set aside to go to NAB, which was like $1,200, $1,500, I'm going to use that probably to get a pocket, one of those pocket cameras. I was looking at the new DJI Action Cam. Nah, I like my Action 5 a lot. I'm looking at I'll get one of the little sticks, the pocket, but I'll get the Pro version, whatever the Pro version is going to be, either the Insta or the DJI, whatever the reviews come out, and I like what they have to say. Luke says he has to go. Absolutely, Luke. Stay tuned every Saturday for news about Final Cut. If big Final Cut Pro news at NAB, we buy coffee to Tim Cook. Just a joke, of course. Of course. He probably drinks coffee. He probably drinks coffee. That's for sure. Everybody, I'm going to get out of here for today. We'll be back next Saturday, 10 o'clock. If there's any big Final Cut Pro breaking news during the week, NAB week, I'll come back on in the afternoon, and we'll go from there. But I'm going to thank each and every one of you for tuning in today. As a matter of fact, let's do this. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Our friends, our regular friends, thank you for the stream. And don't forget to subscribe over there. Like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And you do that over here. YouTube at Richard Taylor TV. All my social media is pretty much Richard Taylor TV. Some of it's just Taylor TV. It's all there somewhere. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in today. And I'll see you, if not before, if there's any big news at NAB, I'll come back on the YouTube channel, all these channels, and do a live stream in the afternoon, typically 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And we'll go from there. If not, I'll see you next Saturday. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. You're the best.